Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty fascinating. Honestly, it even surprised us a bit as we were researching. If you've ever dreamed of mastering English, or really any language, you probably think, okay, this means hours and hours of hard study, right? Well, the stuff we've been looking at, recent research on how people learn languages, it challenges that completely. We found something quite startling, almost. Yeah, counterintuitive. Real fluencies might not need those marathon sessions. Instead, maybe just a really focused 15 minutes a day. It feels like finding a secret code for language learning, honestly. And it could totally change how you approach it.
It's a really compelling idea, isn't it? And what's so interesting is how it just flies in the face of that common assumption, more time equals more progress, always. But this isn't just about, being disciplined. It taps into some solid ideas from cognitive science, things like spaced repetition, and how our brain actually work best with focused, short bursts of learning. The research we've looked at suggests these short, deliberate periods are, better for forming those neural pathways without overloading your brain, which is key. So this deep dive basically will walk you through it step by step, a practical method backed by this research, designed to boost your listening, your speaking, vocabulary, grammar, all inside that, surprisingly short daily window. It's about being strategic, consistent, working with your brain, not fighting against it.
Working with your brain. I like that distinction. That feels important. So, okay, where do we start with this 15-minute blueprint? We're going to break it down, right, into 4 parts, 4 segments. The first 5 minutes, the idea is really simple. Listen like a child.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how you learned your first language. It wasn't flashcards and grammar drills, was it? It was just listening.
Yeah.
Soaking everything up long before you said a word. That sort of deep unconscious immersion.
Exactly. The core idea here is something linguists call comprehensible input. It's not just letting sound wash over you, though. It's about actively trying to understand language that's just a little bit challenging for you. Even if you don't catch every single word, your brain is busy figuring out patterns, context, just like a child does. So you want to choose short stuff, maybe quick podcast clips, a song you like, news headlines, even short YouTube videos, in English, obviously. The main thing is, don't panic if you miss words. Just try to get the main idea, the gist of it. And here's where it gets active. You need to use this repeat and shadow technique.
Repeat and shadow. Okay, I've heard of that. But for someone who hasn't tried it, it might feel a bit, weird, like you're just talking to yourself. How does actually doing that mirroring help?
Yeah, that's a fair point. It can feel strange. But think of it like this. You're being a linguistic parrot, basically. You hear a short phrase in English, and then immediately, almost right on top of it, you try to copy exactly what you heard. Not just the words, but the pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation, maybe even the emotion, if you can. This active copying, it helps build this subconscious link between the sounds you hear and how your mouth actually forms those sounds. You're essentially training your mouth muscles and your ears to work together. So, for example, maybe you listen to a little 2-minute story. Then you pick out key phrases like once upon a time or it was a beautiful morning, and you just say them out loud right after hearing them. You'll actually feel your tongue and brain starting to sync up, really getting used to making those English sounds.
That makes sense, that direct, almost instant engagement. Yeah, that sounds powerful. Okay, so you've sharpened your listening. Then it's time to switch gears, right? Get into actually producing the language, which brings us to the next 5 minutes. Speak without fear. Now, this is often the really big hurdle, isn't it? That shyness or just being terrified of making a mistake. It's easy to say speak without fear, but that worry about sounding silly or getting it wrong, that's a real psychological block for many people.
Oh, absolutely. It's huge. And it brings up a good question. Okay, how do you practice speaking if there's nobody around to talk to? Well, the research actually shows some really effective solo techniques. You can start by, just talking to yourself. Describe what you're doing. Right now, I'm sitting in my room. I'm wearing a blue shirt. I can hear the rain outside. Simple stuff. This act of producing language, even just for yourself, it reinforces something called the output hypothesis. The idea is that actually trying to speak forces your brain to test its internal grammar rules. Mistakes aren't failures. They're actually crucial for learning. They show you where the gaps are. Another really good method, record yourself. Just use your phone. Then listen back. You'll quickly hear things, maybe pronunciation, maybe awkward phrasing, areas you can work on. It builds self-awareness. And finally, keep doing that mimicking we talked about, copying native speakers. Play a sentence, pause, and try to say it exactly the same way. It hits pronunciation and fluency at the same time.
It's interesting how these small, immediate actions are the focus, not just theory. Okay, so once you build up the courage to speak, you pretty quickly realize you need the actual words, right, to say what you want to say. And that's where the next chunk comes in, 3 minutes on grow your vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Because fluency isn't just perfect grammar, you need the words. Without them, you can have perfect sentences, structures, but still nothing to say.
Exactly right. And the strategy here is super focused and achievable, I think. Learn just 3 new words every day. Now, 3 might not sound like a lot.
Doesn't sound like much, no.
But do the math. That's 90 words in a month. Over 1,000 new active words in a year. It adds up fast. But here's the key. Immediate application. As soon as you learn them, write a short sentence with each word. And then this is really important. Try to use those new words in that speaking practice you were just doing. Integrate them right away.
That makes total sense. So say today's words were delicious, excited, and comfortable. You'd immediately try to say something like, the cake was delicious, or I'm excited about my new job, or even just, this chair is very comfortable. It forces your brain to actually use them, right? Moves them from just seeing them on a list to actually actively knowing them.
Precisely. That immediate use is what really locks them into your active vocabulary. And that brings us to the last 2 minutes. The quick grammar fix. Now think of grammar like the frame of a house. It's essential, right, for strength, structure. But you don't need to spend hours every day studying the blueprints in minute detail. A quick targeted check-in does the job, reinforces the basics.
So not hours of complex analysis, just focused reinforcement. How does that work in only 2 minutes?
Exactly. The idea is pick one small grammar point each day. Just one. Can be something specific like past tense verbs, or maybe how to ask questions using do or does, small things. And the crucial part, just like with the vocabulary, is to immediately use it in your speaking practice. This practical application turns abstract rules into something you can actually use. Functional language. You know, when we talk about building neural pathways, it's kind of like paving mental roads in your brain. Every time you practice consistently, especially using different skills like listening and speaking, you're making those English pathways stronger, faster, more automatic.
Okay, so if the focus was past tense, you'd quickly practice saying, yesterday I cooked dinner, or I visited my friend last weekend. It's about making those connections right away, making grammar part of how you actually speak, not just something you know about. This whole method, it sounds incredibly efficient, maybe almost too simple.
Yeah.
What's the real magic here? Why does breaking it down like this actually work?
Well, it works because it really leans into the power of consistency, and it leverages how our brains are actually wired to learn. Doing small amounts regularly is just profoundly more effective than cramming in long sessions now and then. Your brain gets that daily exposure to English, which is vital for building up and strengthening those neural connections we talked about. You'll find you remember words and grammar points much better when you keep revisiting them in these short bursts. It fights forgetting. And maybe the biggest thing, as you do it consistently, day after day, speaking starts to feel less scary. It becomes more of a habit. And that naturally boosts your confidence a lot. Think about learning, say, the guitar. You don't practice for 6 hours once a month and expect to be great, right?
Definitely not.
No. You practice a little bit every day. And over time, playing starts to feel natural, effortless almost. This is the same idea. It's optimizing how your brain learns best.
That's a fantastic analogy. It really highlights why this isn't just some gimmick, but a genuinely smart strategy. Okay, so to help you listening actually put this into action, we want to issue a challenge, a 30-day challenge. Commit to just 15 minutes every single day for the next 30 days and follow the exact breakdown we laid out. 5 minutes listening, 5 minutes speaking, 3 for vocabulary, and 2 for that quick grammar fix. And we really recommend keeping a small notebook. Just jot down a few notes each day. It helps you see your progress, track how far you're coming.
Yeah, and if you commit to this, you really can expect some noticeable changes after just 30 days. You'll probably find you understand spoken English more easily, not just words, but the general flow, the meaning. You might find yourself answering questions or joining in conversations without that mental translation delay, that pause while you search for words. Your pronunciation should get clearer too, more natural. And maybe the most important outcome, just feeling more confident overall about using English, not just knowing it passively, but actively using it.
Absolutely. Remember, fluency isn't really about being perfect. It's about communicating effectively, getting your message across. And you don't need to wait for some imaginary someday when you finally have hours to spare. You've got 15 minutes, probably today. Use them. Start small, stick with it, and just watch your English improve day by day.
Exactly. Always remember, a little every day beats a lot someday.